So in this video we'll be going through a series of money problems. So the following money questions that we'll be going through could easily appear on both a calculator and a non-calculator paper. But however, when I go through the answers, I'll show you how we can work this out using a non-calculator rather than because obviously if I then go through the non-calculator method to use the calculator method, I'll always do the same, but I just won't have to hurt my brain in working out the calculations. Now, what's really important when you are working through exam questions is looking how many marks each question is worth. Now, in more cases, the number of marks indicates how much work you need to show in your working out, or an alternative, it could set the number of marks will kind of mean how much time you spend on a particular question. So for example, in this particular question it's worth 3 marks, so we're either going to be expected to work out 3 things or expected to answer this question in about 3 minutes. But make sure that you are writing down whatever you're thinking, and particularly if it is a calculator paper, make sure that you are writing down what you are entering on your calculator. So let's go straight into it. So the question asked that 2 adults and 2 children went to a cinema, they bought a family ticket, how much money did they save? So what we need to do here is first work out the solo price. So hashtag 1 is work out the individual prices. So what we need to do is we need to, for the adults, the 2 adults, it's going to be 2 times £6.60, and for the 2 children it's going to be 2 times 4.95. Now how we actually work this out is entirely up to you. I would actually say that we'd get 1 mark for maybe 1 mark or maybe 2 marks for actually working this out. Now you can either got a choice of either multiplying or you can add. Now if the numbers were more than 2, if we were multiplying by a number that's more than 2, then I would definitely opt for multiplying because it would be a lot quicker than rather than adding. But seeing as it is only 2 amounts that we're merely multiplying by 2 and just doubling, I'm going to opt for adding instead. So here we've got the 2 adults, so that's going to be £6.60, £6.60, and I'm adding them together, so I've got 0, 2, carry the 1, 13, so that's £13.20. Then for the 2 children, we've got 4.95, 4.95, and we're adding, so I've got 10, I've got 19, and I've got 9, so £9.90, and then all I then need to do is, so the total solo price is going to be £13.20 plus £9.90, and working that out we get £23 and 10 pence. Now the key thing to remember is that when you are adding, make sure that your decimal points are directly under each other. Again, an area where students tend to go wrong when they're using decimal money and adding is forgetting that the decimal place doesn't go in the same place. So if you, for example, if you're going to do £2 plus £4.95, then don't do this, because the 2 needs to go here. We write 2 as 2.00, so 2.00, and then you can then add. Let me just get rid of that because it's not got nothing to do with this question. So now I would say in terms of that you would get 1 mark for working out the prices of the individual prices, 1 mark for working out the total price, and then the question's asking is how much money did they save. So what they need to do is do the more expensive price, which is £23.10, the price that they actually paid, which was £19.80, and then take the 2 things away. So 0 take away 0 is 0. I'm going to struggle doing 1 take away 8, so I borrow 1 off the 2, so that becomes 1, that then becomes 12, and that becomes 11. So 11 take away 8 is 3, 12 take away 9 is 3 and 0, so they saved £3.30. And again, it's really important that you don't just leave your answer as part of your calculation. Now I've done that, that you write your answer separately so it's easy for them to see what your final answer is, which makes it therefore easy to mark. And that's where your 3rd mark would probably come from. Stick them on there in a different colour. There we go. So let's have a look at the next question. So the next question, again, 6 marks, so this is quite a lot, so it's almost 10% of your paper if your paper is marked out of 80. which is what most GCSE papers are now marked out of. So it's a big question, and there's going to be a lot of things that we need to do. So let's read the question carefully. It says Joe made 60 necklaces. It cost £1.20 to make each necklace. She sold 75% of the necklace at full price at £5 and the rest at half price. What was her profit? So the first thing we need to do is work out, so we'll just put hashtag work out the cost price to make the necklaces. So in order for you to work out the profit, we need to know what the original outlay or the original cost is, and then subtract that from the total selling price. So the first thing you need to do is work out what the cost price to make. No, I've got made. To make the necklaces. Right, so to do this, what I need to do is I need to do 60 times 1.2. So for this, again, I can use my calculator or I can do it by hand, whichever you prefer. Definitely do not do adding because you'll be there literally forever, in which we get an answer of £72. So that there is the original price it cost for Joe to make her necklaces. And again, I could possibly get 2 marks, 1 mark working this out and 1 mark for £72, but I doubt that'll be the case. So the next thing I then need to do is find out how many necklaces. So number 2, how many necklaces. Now you don't need to write down the steps, so how many necklaces were sold at full price. So what I need to do is work out what 75% of 60 is going to be. So 75% is the same as 50% plus 25% of 60 So 50% of 60 is 30, and therefore 25%, which is going to be half of that, is going to be 15. So adding those two together, she sold 45 necklaces at full price, meaning that she sold, so 60 take away 45 is 15, so then therefore she sold 15 necklaces at half price. So, and again, I would say that's probably going to be worth at least 2 or maybe 3 marks from there. So, with now what we need to do is work out how much her total selling price was. So let's just go over to this side of the screen. So in terms of the selling price, so we know that she sold 45 necklaces at full price, so it's going to be 45 times 5, and again, whichever way you want to work that out, so let's put £5 so you can see where that 5's come from. So do 45 times 5, which gives me £225. And then she sold 15 necklaces at half price. Well, half price, well, if that's going to be £5, then that's going to be £2.50. So she sold 15 necklaces at £2.50. Now if I work out what 15 times 2.5 is going to be, it works out to be £37.50. So her total selling price is where we add those two numbers up, so it's going to be 225 plus £37.50. Now I personally would say this is going to be on a calculator paper, but it's not a problem, as you can see by working it out. So here we get 262.5, so 50 pence. And so now what we then need to do is work out the profit. So the profit is going to be the selling price of £262.50 minus the £72 it cost to make. So let's just see whether Joe has made a decent amount of money for her efforts. So we take those two amounts away and we get an answer of £190.50 profit, and there is our final answer. So Joe's not done that badly. I'm sure Alan Sugar would be very, very impressed. So let's have a look at the next question. So these questions tend to be very, very popular when it comes to both calculator and non-calculator problems. So this is where we're using a formula. Now the formula that we've been given is highlighted in the box. Now I've not actually read the context of the question, so let's do that first. So it says the amount a plumber charges in pounds is worked out using this formula. So the amount charged is 25 times the hours that they've worked plus 38. Now this 38 is basically the standing charge. So £38 is the standing charge. So for them to just come to your house and knock on your door, it's going to cost you £38. Then on top of that, they're going to charge £25 for every hour that they've worked. So if they've stepped in for a 1 second, it's going to be £38, and there you go. And if they've worked 1 hour, it's going to be £38 plus £25. 2 hours, £38 plus 2 lots of 25. So on question A, which I'll do here, all I need to do is substitute. So it says that on Monday the plumber worked 3.5 hours, so I want to substitute this number here and swap it where it says hours worked in the formula. Now 3.5, I'd probably recommend you write it as 3.5. So entering this on our calculator, we're going to do 25 times 3.5 plus 38. Now obviously there's no brackets involved in the formula, that's something that I've just done there. But if you remember BIDMAS, then you need to do the multiplying bit first. So I probably recommend that you do the brackets first and then add 38. So if I do just that on my calculator, plus 38 equals, and the plumber for working 3.5 hours is £125.50. So Joe's the winner in that contest. Now it says for B, which we'll do over here, it says on Tuesday the plumber charged £188. How many hours did he work? Now this is what we call a reverse question, and this is going to involve equations, which you may not know it because it doesn't involve an x. However, we're going to incorporate the x and swap the numbers in the formula with what we've got in the question. So this here is our amount charged. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to flip this formula. So I've got 25 times h plus 38 equals, and I'm just going to put a pound sign. Now if I just put, well, I don't need to put brackets around that just yet. Now h is what I'm trying to find. Now the pound sign, well, I know that's 188, so I could write this as, now using algebra, another way of saying 25 times h is 25h plus 38 equals, and it's going to be 188. Now writing it in this form, you can see how it's now turned into an equation. So I want to get h by itself, so you've got to ask yourself, what do I get rid of first, the 38 or the 25? The 38, and the 38 is adding, so I need to take away 38. So I've got 25h is equal to 188 minus 38, which gives us 150. And then I've got to get rid of the 25, so think, what's the 25 doing? It's timesing, so the opposite of that is to divide. So h equals 150 divided by 25, which gives me 6. So it's 6 hours that the plumber had earned £188. Joe's still a winner. Right, so moving on to our next question. So it says that Jack buys 2 adult tickets and 3 child tickets at the cinema. A lot of people going to the cinema. He pays £34.50 altogether. Each adult ticket costs £9. What is the cost of one child ticket? So now for this, what I'm going to do is we're kind of going to use some algebra to rewrite this equation. So here we've got 2 adult tickets and 3 children tickets. So I'm going to call it 2A plus 3C, and it says that that came up to a total of £34.50. Now I know that the adult ticket costs £9, so A equals 9. So if I swap A equals 9 into this formula, it's going to, remember this is 2 times 9, so it's going to be 2 times 9, which is 18, plus 3C equals £34.50. So now to work out, and again I will try and get C by itself, so I need to get rid of the 18, so I'm going to subtract £18. So I know that 3 child tickets is going to cost 34.5, take away 18, which on my calculator gives me £16.50. Now again, if I was doing this without a calculator, then how I would set it up is like this, and then do the subtraction. So once I've got this, I then need to divide by 3. So C equals, and again, if that was £16.50, to do 3 divided by £16.50, or we can do this without, so 3 is going to 1 0 times, carry the 1. 3 goes in 16 5 times, with 1 remainder. 3 goes into 15 3 times, so it's £5.30. So a child ticket costs £5.30, and that's worth 4 marks. So I would say you'd get 1 mark for writing some form of algebra, 1 mark for taking away 18, 1 mark for dividing by 3, and 1 mark for your final answer of £5.30. So moving on to the next question, let's have a look. So this time we're looking at Mike. So Mike rents a car for a total of £445. The rental charge is £145 for the first day, and then £60 per day after that. So how many days did Mike rent the car for? Right, so we've got a total charge of £445. So what we need to do is subtract the first day charge. So from that I need to do 445 minus 145, which gives me £300. Now so far that's for 1 day that he's taken the car out for. Now what I now need to do is work out how many £60 go into £300. So if I do 300 divided by 60, that equals 5 days. Now with this, I remember this question very, very vividly, and people then think, oh, the last number I wrote down was 5, so that's the final answer. When actually it isn't, because what I now need to do is join these 2 days together, 1 day plus 5 days, so 5 days plus 1 day equals 6 days, and there is your final answer. So then moving on to the next question, so this time we're looking at Julie. So Julie buys 2 kilograms of apples and 7 kilograms of pears for £12.70. The pears cost £1.30 per kilogram. What is the price per kilogram of the apples? Now this question is very, very similar. Now testing my memory, which I don't have, which is Jack. So how we did this question here with the cinema tickets, this question is exactly the same. However, we're talking about Julie, and we're talking about apples and pears. So first of all, let's write down this as an equation, or a formula I should say. So here we've got 2a plus 7p equals £12.70. Now we know that p equals £1.30, so what I'm going to do is I need to work out what this is going to cost. So here I'm going to do 7 times £1.30, and I work that out, so I've got 7 times 1.30 equals, and it gives me £9.10. So we'll just get rid of that bracket. So here I've got 2a plus £9.10, so Judy spent £9.10 on pears. I think she quite likes pears. And then what we now need to do is try and get a by itself. So again, the £9.10 is adding, so we need to take that away to get rid of it. So we subtract it, so 2 apples is going to cost a total of, so I do £12.70 minus £9.10, gives me a total of £3.60. And then what we then need to do, if 2 apples cost £3.60, to work out the cost of 1 apple, I then need to divide it by 2, in which I get a total of £1.80. Now what kind of shop is she buying these apples and pears from? I have no idea, but that is pretty dear. Now the next question, we're talking about Dan. So Dan used 942 units of electricity from July to October. The meter reading in July was 32,347 units. Work out the meter reading in October. So now everyone's got a meter reading at home, or most people have, in which you can read this out. If you've got a smart meter, you can see this. and work out energy costs. Something like I'm sure you do in your spare time. But let's have a look. So for part A, we're looking at the meter reading, so we need to add. So it was 3, 2, 3, 4, 7 in July, and we've used 942 units. So what I need to do is add them all up. So I've got 7 plus 2 is 9, 8, 12, 3, 3. And there is my answer. So the meter reading in October is going to be 33,289. Now it then says each unit costs 14 pence. How much do 942 units cost? Now this is the danger. Now usually when you're working with money, I always recommend working in pounds. So what we could do is convert this 14 pence into 0.14. Because more often than not, when you're dealing with money questions, the units is definitely most likely going to be in pounds. However, we're giving it in pence. Now, if this was a calculator question, then what I would do is just do the amount of units we've got times that by 0.14, and we'll get the answer. However, if this is a non-calculator paper, then what I would do is work with pence and then convert it. So let's just quickly do it. How are you going to do 942 times 14 is entirely up to you. It all depends on how you like to multiply. So some people like multiplying like this. Some people might want to multiply using what we call the grid method. So I've got 10 and I've got 4. And it doesn't really matter which method you use as long as you're getting the right answer. So going through this, I've got 9 and I've got 3 zeros. I've got 36 with 2 zeros, 4 with 2 zeros, 16 with 1 zero, 20 and 8. And here I've got 4 times 2, which is 8, 4 times 4, which is 16, and 9 times 4, which is 36, so it becomes 37. Add a 0, and I've got 2, 4, 9. And then add them all up, in which I should get the exact same answer. So let's just quickly work that out, whichever method you prefer. And we should get the correct answer of 13,188. Now, because we're dealing with pence, I need to convert it into pounds. I need to move the decimal point 2 places, and so it becomes £131.88. Now, if I did have the answer of 13188, now I always say that to do well in maths, it's about 65% knowledge, 35% common sense. So think to yourself, well, where does my decimal point go? Okay, now I'm not expecting someone of your age to know what electricity bills are, but are you going to get a bill for 1,318 potentially? Are you going to get a bill for £13? Particularly when you're using roughly 3 months worth of electricity, it's not going to cost you £13. £131 seems a bit reasonable, so there is your final answer. But obviously the correct way of doing it is actually working out properly, but there is our final answer. So Julie's back, and they are moved away from buying apples and pears. And first thing I notice that this Julie is a boy. So Julie is now buying a string of other items. So what we need to now do is work out what these items are going to cost in total. Now again, to work out the t-shirt price, we're looking at 3 times £5.94. Now again, what you could do to help you with multiplying is do 594 times by 3 and then work out the cost. But then what you need to do is move the decimal point 2 places to convert it into pounds. Just so that, because obviously we've converted it into pence, working this out, and then we go from there. So working this out then for the paintbrushes, which I'll do in a different colour. Let's do contrasting colour. Let's go for green. So for the paintbrushes, I'm going to have to do £6.97 plus £6.97. And for the bags of pasta, let's just do that over here. I'm going to do 4 bags of 88, so it's going to be 88 times 4 and then remembering to move the decimal place 2 places when we work that answer out. So it's really, really important that if this was on a non-calculated paper, for you to work it out separately. If it was on a calculated paper, this should be relatively quite simple. All we've got to do is just type in the right amounts, remembering to write down, particularly when we're dealing with pence, because we're always dealing with pounds, because you can see that the pound units in this particular question is what we're going to be using, and just type it in correctly. So the total cost for 3 t-shirts is going to be 3 times £5.94, which gives us a total price of £17 and 82 pence. For 2 paintbrushes at £6.97, that's going to come up to a total of £13 and 94 pence. For the bags of pasta, it's going to be 4 times 0.88, which is £3.52. Now, you can see how, apart from the paintbrushes, which, let me just write that 94 again, that I've got nice neat columns. My decimal point is roughly in a straight line, well, a form of a straight line. So if I was to do this on a non-calculated paper, it should be nice and easy for me to work the total out, and all I need to then do is add up the total amounts, remembering, don't forget the steam iron, because that's one that you didn't have to work out, which they gave you for free. If only they gave you the steam iron for free, but I don't think Julie's in luck there. And that comes up to a total of £76 and 53 pence. So again, it's important that you're able to do this using a non-calculator, but again, at a guess and as an assumption, I would say this is going to be a calculator question. So moving on to the next question, we're looking at greengrocers. So back at the greengrocers, so greengrocer sells mangoes at 77 pence each. I think I know a place where you can probably find that cheaper. Find the greatest number of mangoes you can buy for £5. Now this question is really, really common when it comes to money questions, particularly in an exam, and simply because you've got a change of units. So what we need to do is to have the same set of units. So either I'm going to write 77 pence as 0.77, or, and let me just write the units for that. So this can be written as 0.77, or the £5 could be written as 500 pence. Now it doesn't really matter which one you go for. Personally, I would always work with pounds. So here what we're going to do is we're going to do 5 divided by 0.77. Now if I type that into my calculator, I'm going to be expecting a not so nice decimal number, in which I get 6.493506. Now if your calculator can deal with reoccurring decimals, then this is the answer that we get. Now obviously you can't buy 0.493506 of a mango, so the final answer is where we need to round down. We're not going to round up because we're not going to get that we can only buy what we've got in terms of money wise. So the answer to this question is going to be 6 mangoes. And there is our final answer. Now for B, how much change should we get? Well, first of all, let's work out how much 6 mangoes cost. So 6 mangoes equals, and it's going to be 6 times 0.77, so again working with pounds, 6 times 0.77 equals £4 and 62 pence. Now if you were working in pence, that's fine, but just make sure that your units tell whoever's marking it that you're working in pence. However, the amounts should still be the same. So again, the cost of 6 mangoes should still cost £4.62. Now the next thing we then need to do is work out the change. So the change is going to be equal to £5 minus 4.62. And again, if you're working in pence, it should be 500 minus 462. And if I work that out, either on a calculator, I'm going to get 0.38, also known as 38 pence. Now you don't need to write both answers, one of them is going to be absolutely fine, but again, I can't stress this too enough, is make sure you are showing your working out, and if you are working on a calculator, then make sure you're writing down what you are typing in. So let's have a look at the next question. So it says that a person's weekly wage is worked out using the following formula. And the wage is equal to the number of hours of overtime times £16 plus their basic pay. So find the person's wage when the number of hours overtime is 9 and the basic pay is 140. So in this particular question we've got three things. We've got the wage, we've got the total number of hours of overtime, we've got the basic pay. So we've got literally we've got two things that we need to enter to find out what the third thing is. So working with A, which I'll do over here. So we know that if I just write letters, I've got W, let's write H, and let's write P. And again, as long as the letters aren't overlapping and they're not looking like numbers, you're going to be absolutely fine. So here I've got W equals H times 16 plus P. Now all I'm now going to do is swap the numbers with the letters that have given me in the information in the question. So H equals 9 and P is 140. So all I'm going to do is swap these numbers into this formula. So I've got W equals H, which is what I do know, which is 9, times 16 plus 140. Now what I'm going to do now, again, using BIDMAS, I need to do this bit first. So W equals, and if I do 9 times 16, and again, if I wanted to do without using a calculator, 16 times 9, which gives me 56, and which gives me 14. So it's going to be 146 plus 140, and if I add that up, it's going to give me £286. So earning more than Joe. So from this, that's part A done and dusted. Now the second question, part B, which I'll do over here, says find the number of hours of overtime when the wage is 300 and the basic pay is 140. So again, I'm going to take this formula here and I'm just going to rejig it. So I've got H equals, no, I've got H times 16 plus P equals W. Now from this I can rewrite H times 16 as 16H plus P equals W. Now what I'm now going to do is substitute the information that I know. So I know W equals 300, so let's start off by writing that. I know that the basic pay is 124, so swap that for that, and I'm wanting to work out what H is. So as you can see, this is now looking into an equation. Without even resembling an algebra question, it's automatically turned into one. So the question you've got to ask yourself is, what do I get rid of first, the 124 or the 16? And the correct answer is 124. So to get rid of that 124, I need to subtract 124. So I've got 16H equals, and if I do 300 minus 124, it gives me 176. And then I need to get H by itself. So what's the 16 due to H? Multiplying. So I need to divide by 16. So the number of hours of overtime that this person has worked is going to be 11. And there is our final answer. So obviously when it comes to money, there are several different types of questions you can get. You can get questions involving fractions, you can get questions involving percentages, usually around those themes, but you also can get some problem solving ones that are linked with algebra, with equations, and working through many things like that. But it's really important you break problems up. Try and use algebra as much as you can once you've got an understanding of writing down formulas and then substituting numbers in to make your life a little bit easier. And also, don't forget to look at units. Some questions may seem easy when they're working with pence and working in pounds. Always try and convert things so you work in the same units. I'd probably recommend that you work in pounds, and you can go from there. Now in this next question, it says that a group of 12 adults and 26 children go to a theme park, and the total cost of tickets is £1,804.80. Adult ticket costs £51.60. Find the cost of a child's ticket. Now again, this is very, very similar, but with bigger numbers, to a question that we did earlier. So again, what we want to try and do is write this using algebra. So we know that we've got 12a plus 26c equals £104.8. So we know that 1a equals £51.60. So therefore 12a is going to be 12 times that, so 12 times £51.60. What am I doing there? Let's try that again. So £12, £51.60, and if I type that into my calculator, I've got 12 times £61, £51.60, and I get an answer of £619.20. So what I can then do is swap 12A for £619.20, and I've got the 26C, and that equals 104.80. Stick a pound sign there. So what I need to do is get rid of the £619 by taking away 619.20, and so I've got that the cost of 26 children is going to be 1,804.8 minus 619.20, and I get an answer of that the 26 children's tickets cost £1,185.60. Now if 26 children's tickets cost that amount, then what I need to do to work out the price of one is divide that by 26. So if I do 1185.6 divided by 26, I get an answer of £45.60, and there is my final answer. So moving on to the next question, I think this is our final one. So here said, when wiring a house, so this time we moved away from a plumber, now moving to an electrician, which is something I could do with at the moment. So when wiring a house, an electrician knows that the time she will take is given by the formula, and here we've been given our formula. So it's going to be 2H, or 2 hours, plus 12 minutes for every light switch that they install. So she charges her customers a call out fee of £35 plus £30 for every hour. So this is the key bits of information, and the question is asking us how much would she charge for installing 10 light switches. So the first thing we need to do is work out, well, how long is it going to take for her to do the job. So first things first, so step one is find the total time. And in order for me to do that, I need to use this formula here. So it's going to be 2 hours. Now, because we're dealing in minutes, I probably recommend, and particularly with time, it's not like normal numbers where you count in tens, units, tens, or hundreds. Time stops after 60 minutes. So, well, actually, that's like it goes on to the next hour after 60 minutes. If only times did stop. I'm sure this video is seeming like you wish it did. So here we've got 2 hours, so that's going to be 120 minutes plus, and then it's going to be 12 times 10. Now if I work that out, so I'm going to do 120 plus another 120, that equals 240 minutes, and to convert that into hours, all I then need to do is divide that by 60, because there's 60 minutes an hour, and it works out to be a 4-hour job. So this electrician is going to take 4 hours to install 10 light switches. Now the next thing I then need to do is work out the cost. So if I just highlight this now in green, and what we're going to do is move over here. So her total cost is going to be £35 plus 30 times for every hour that she's worked. Now we've already worked out that the number of hours that she's going to work is 4 hours, so it's going to be 35 plus 30 times 4. Now you might want to do this the other way around, so 30 times 4 plus 35. So 30 times 4 is 120 plus £35, so she's going to charge a total of £155.